skeletons come from India.
No kidding, how come?
How the hell do I know how come? The important question is, where do they get all the skeletons with perfect teeth? I'm going to ask you a serious question. How many people you know die with a beautiful, perfect set of choppers in their puss, huh?
Well, nobody I can think of.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's the one where the corpses start eating the people, right? Sure. What about it?
Did you know that movie was based on a true case?
Come on, you're shitting me, right?
Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. I'm your host, Viz, and it is my honor and pleasure to welcome our special guest tonight, Thom Mathews. Thom, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure, and it's, like I told you in the pre-call, it's an honor to talk to you. I remember watching Return of the Living Dead when I was 11 years old. So before we get into the movies and stuff, during this crazy times of COVID, what have you been up to lately?
I get up every day. I have a construction company, so that keeps me going every day. I've got guys who work for me, and we're just out there creating. It's all custom stuff, so it's fun. It's not like cookie cutter stuff, so it's always fun to get up and
It's always something. It's always something
clients.
Different, and
it's very artistic. Yeah, the way we do it.
And I've noticed by looking over your stuff on IMDb, you're still involved up until last year, still doing some video shorts. So you are still involved in the acting business. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did a Western a couple years ago. Just came out in October called Warpath. That was a lot of fun. We shot it in Detroit or in Michigan. And that was a fun thing. And then we've been doing the Friday the 13th fan films.
Mm-hmm.
We got Vinny Gustafaro back involved into the prequel, Never Hike in the Snow. So that's been a lot of fun. And then based on that, I did a movie with Barry J., who wrote and directed. He was the executive producer on Never Hike Alone. And he wrote a thing called Killer Therapy. I played the kid's dad who's in therapy, and it's a wild ride, but it's just a horrific movie.
How does it feel 36 years later that the character of Tommy Jarvis is still being shown in like the video shorts like you've been doing? How does that make you feel?
It's amazing. We got the video game that came out, which I'm also involved in that, and I think that's it's creating a whole new generation of fans. All the kids are playing. All the kids who shouldn't see the movie because they're too young to see the movie. They're fans of Jason, and they're going to look at the old relics in color of Jason Lives that was shot 35 years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a kid when I watched it, and Jason and Michael and Freddy, those were the three biggest slashers, and I was watching them from an age well young than I should have been. So let's go back, okay? Let's go back to, let's start with Return of the Living Dead, okay? First off, how were you approached for the role of Freddy?
I got a call from Sansi Stokes. She was the casting director, and I loved the script immediately. I didn't see it as a comedy at all. It was just hard hitting, and I love the arc of the character going from a sweet innocent punk rocker into a blood brain sucking zombies. So that's a lot of fun for an actor to play. I went to the audition and read for everybody, and I didn't hear anything. Didn't hear anything for 9 months, and I got a call back, and I thought, no pun intended, but I thought that thing was dead. That project was dead. So I go back in, and while I'm auditioning again for the callback, it comes to light that I've already been hired because I don't know why they didn't tell my agent, or my agent didn't tell me, or whatever. So they're they're, they're reading with 6 different actresses, and Beverly Randolph ended up getting the part.
Wow.
And the 9 months, the delay for the 9 months was a legal thing. They didn't have the title, or they had to work out some legal issues with the title.
You
The
know,
name Return of the Living Dead.
and that actually brings me to my next question. When you were approached with the script, or when you got to meet the director, Dan O'Bannon, did they tell you that this might be a spoof from the Romero Dead movies? I'm assuming that's probably where the legal issues came with the naming of the movie and stuff. But did anyone say, okay, we're doing a comedy spoof? Because you're right, I agree with you. I don't see Return of the Living
No,
Dead as a pure comedy. I don't. I really don't. It's a
it's
great.
it's it's not it's not a pure comedy. That's what I love so much about it. What the terms? You laugh at the situations, the real life situations the kids get themselves into. That's what makes
Yeah,
it so funny. It's
exactly.
unbelievable and comical. I mean, part two we kind of went for the gags a little bit, but part one is a pure. It's really a drama, horrific. It's um, I forget the name of the term I'm trying to use, but yeah, we played it. Everyone played it for real.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's just the great writing and the directing.
And you got to work directly with James Karen, who played Frank, and then of course Clu Gallagher, who played Bert. Your scenes were primarily with them. Uh, how did it feel to work with those two guys?
Oh, it was great. Jimmy and I we became friends, and we had a lot of fun. And then Clue, he was very serious. He got called. He got brought in late. We had the luxury of being able to rehearse for 2 weeks before principal photography. So that was very instrumental. And it also, Clue wasn't able to be a part of that because he hadn't been hired yet. So it was all business with him. He was under a lot of stress. He had a lot of dialogue in his scenes, and I think the kids had more fun than Clue was having with some of the grown-ups. But it was great work with Jimmy, and Don Calfa, of course, was so much fun. Just really great memories of the whole. Whenever I look back on past projects, I always go back to Return of the Living Dead because it was really a really special movie and experience for me personally, because it's my first lead in a movie, and it was truly a collaboration. For Dan O'Bannon to involve us and ask us what do we think about his script that he wrote and he's directing, and if there was any input, and it was just amazing because it was really a collaboration. I'd say maybe 10% of it, 15% of it is ad libs, and we'd ask Dan or Jimmy, and I would work on something, like this job was, I just threw that in at the last minute, and people seemed to like it. So it was a lot of fun. And I realized that I was coming home, and I was living at my grandmother's in Hollywood at the time, and said no to me, and it was like, and then it dawned on me that I heard the word no for the first time in weeks. It was a collaboration. I'd never heard the word no, so it was really refreshing. So it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, this is really cool. So it was a lot of fun, really special time for me.
It does. It sounds like an amazing time. Now, the movie sort of divided into you with the characters of Frank and Bert, and then we have the kids outside in the cemetery. Linnea Quigley is also part of that cast. How much interaction did you and the people that you were doing your scenes with have with the group of kids that were outside in the cemetery? Behind the scenes.
We didn't. I mean, I saw them. Yeah, behind the scenes, we'd hang out on the set and stuff, and John was really good friends with Eric Stoltz, so he'd come by the set and stuff. Uh, Brian Peck was always getting into, he's a real horror fan, so he was always looking for stuff to take and stuff like that. And then I'd see them, we'd hang out, but we didn't really have a whole lot of scenes together.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I did show up. I did show up when Linnea did have her nude shot, though. I kind of went in early. I think I was 24 at the time.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I met Linnea Quigley back in the 90s at a convention. Yeah, I don't blame you. Now,
yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's actually my wife and her are in cahoots now because they're rescuing dogs from shelters and stuff. So I've got 9 dogs here right now.
oh, wow.
Yeah. My wife Carla has been rescuing a German Shepherd. She represents a rescue chair. President Biden has a German Shepherd, so they went to her for a comment and stuff like that. So that was pretty fun. So Linnea and my wife are in touch.
That's amazing. Sorry, you were cutting in and out there, so I apologize for that. Now, let's go to like I said, going a little bit back to Romero's Dead. Did Dan or anybody did Romero's Dead movies at all come up during filming of Return of the Living Dead? In conversation with Dan or anybody else, maybe to draw some similarities or to make sure to stay away as far as possible from it?
We had no conversations like that at all.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Okay. Were there any kind of improvised scenes in Return of the Living Dead that either did make it into the final cut or did not make it into the final cut? Any kind of ad-libbing of any sorts?
Yes. I threw in like this job. Jimmy Karen and I would get together and, rehearse our scenes before we shot it, of course, just to kind of get the juices flowing and stuff like that. And we would throw in stuff here and there. As far as whole scenes, no.
Okay.
At the beginning, I think of 1 out of 10 times he would say no, but he was open to what we were saying. That's what made it so special. And let me point out, it's highly unusual for a writer director to let you do that. And kudos to him. And this was his first film that he was directing. So because usually writers make you stick to their words and punctuation, and that's how they see it, and that's how they want it done.
Okay, that totally makes sense. When you first read the script, and first of all, let me ask you this question: before you landed the role on Return of the Living Dead, did you enjoy the horror genre? Did you watch any of Romero's Dead movies, the zombie movies at all? Were you interested in them? Did you like them? Did you even watch them?
I had some. I think I got more into it after Return, and then I did Friday the 13th Part 6. what I really appreciate, it wasn't really my cup of tea at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but what I appreciated was the filmmaking
Yeah.
aspect of it. So to be there and to shoot what we shot, and then how, to me, it was like all one big puzzle, and how it all came together at the end was amazing. Because when you're shooting, it's not in order, so you have to jump around depending on what set you're at. If you have a set, in the movie at the end, we're not going to come back to the end of the movie. You have it's already set up, it's already lit. It's cheaper for production to shoot it that way.
Okay. What did you think of the whole aspects that they wrote into the movie where the zombies can talk, and of course their main word is brains? From reading the script,
Yeah, now I was going to say that is one of my favorite scenes of the movie, is when they're having the conversation with the half-core. Watching that whole conversation and that insight to the zombie world.
it was great. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the paramedics arrived and the zombies ate the paramedics, and the zombie gets on the CB radio asking for more brains, paramedics to be sent. The zombies themselves are the ones that make it lighthearted and fun, and you actually grow a little fond of watching these zombies on the screen because they can talk. They're not mindless corpses just roaming around looking for their next meal. I mean, do you agree with that? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. You were in and out. Sorry. I have a poor connection.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, you can. They definitely have personalities, and you could. I mean, that's something interesting to explore. In the future.
It is. I think I may be wrong about this, but uh, Return of the Living Dead is a cult classic to this day. It's become a classic movie, and it's because they really did make some transitions from what people expected the zombies to do at that time. They could talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Talk, and they were fast.
yeah,
And it's actually part of pop culture now.
yes,
I've asked people, and I'll tell you why. I've asked people, what do zombies eat? And they say brains. I go, have you seen Return of the Living Dead? And a lot of them haven't, but they know that zombies eat brains. So the fact that information has superseded the movie makes it part of pop culture, because that's what everyone. I mean, I'll watch a silly TV show, and they'll have fake zombies or playing zombies, and they'll be brains, chasing brains because of Return of the Living Dead.
exactly.
So it's been a lot of fun.
I loved it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I know everyone loved it. I mean, now, if when did you get notified that they were going to make a sequel and you were going to be coming back in Return of the Living Dead Part 2?
They called my agent called me, and I think I was still working for Lorimar Productions, and they were doing over at the old MGM studios. So that's how I got my SAG card, by the way. That's another story. So there's a guy in the international department. Now, Lorimar did Dallas and Knots Landing and Falcon Crest and a bunch of shows. So big company. But the guy in international affairs, his name was Larry Myers, I believe. He knew about Return of the Living Dead Part 2 coming up, and he was involved somehow, some way. and he told me that that Jimmy and I were called back because of the Japanese distributors. It was a big success. Part one was a big success in Japan, and they were willing to give them money to make the movie, because you pre-sell the movie. You have the script and you pre-sell it if it does well in the country. So you get money to make the movie, a couple $1 million or 500,000 or whatever it is. Gives them the right to distribute the movie in that country. So the Japanese distributor said they would love to, have the rights, but they wanted James Karen and myself to come back in the movie to reprise our roles in some fashion. So that's why we came back. That's the only reason why we came back, because as you know, everyone got nuked in part one, or allegedly got nuked. You don't really see it, but
I loved the aspect of the movie of you and James releasing the toxin accidentally into the air, which sort of you guys were responsible for what would ultimately end up being the end of the world. Because you guys played with that canister and you yourselves got infected. The sequence of events that I really, really also love is how you guys slowly on screen turn into zombies. Not only that, at some point along the line, you guys physically die. Like when the paramedics came to check on you, you had no pulse, you had no heartbeat, and your character in particular was just freaking out. Did you like that aspect and how that was written and incorporated into the movie?
Oh, I loved it. It was a slow burn throughout the movie that I was slowly dying and stuff, and the lines. Yeah, no blood pressure. What do you mean no blood pressure, no pulse? What are you saying? He's dead, man. So yeah, it was fun. And then for Tina to stick by my side until I completely turned. That was pretty amazing until I wanted to eat her brains. That was fun. But yeah, it was for Jimmy Karen. For him to. It was his idea actually to get into the crematorium and kill himself.
Really?
To burn himself, and put his ring on the hand, on the lever. Put his ring down, because and say goodbye, because he didn't want to go on. That was his idea to jump in there and burn himself all the way down. He didn't want to become a zombie, a brain eating zombie.
When you got fully transformed, like we played in that clip in the beginning, how did it feel for you to have the full makeup on? How did they direct you? Say, Thom, you are now a full-fledged zombie. This is how you're going to behave. How did they explain it to you? How did you feel acting that out?
They didn't have to explain shit to me. I knew exactly what to do. I was a fucking zombie, man. Are you kidding? Balls out.
Just go crazy.
You go to 10. You go full zombie at that point, bro.
So you basically just had fun with it and let loose.
I mean, come on.
Now, were there
busting ass down the hallway? It was a lot of fun.
It looked when you were bursting through that door, and I could tell you were just having so much fun with it. And like you just explained, balls to the wall. Let all the rules just fly out the window, and I'm just gonna have as much fun as I can with this. All right, let's switch gears.
I think I've seen. Well, I think I've seen as intense zombies since then, but not before then. I can't remember a zombie before that.
No,
that was as intense.
No, I can't either. To be honest, I cannot.
I just thought of that right now. That's pretty amazing. Pretty cool.
Yeah. You can definitely put yourself in front of the line of people who revolutionized. Hey, this is a zombie who has thrown out all the rules and is going just buck ape crazy. Let's switch gears. Let's go to Friday the 13th for a bit. Okay. Tommy Jarvis was first introduced in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, part 4. Of course, it wasn't the final chapter. It was played by Corey Feldman. They did bring the character played by another actor for a little bit in the movie following it, part 5, and then you got the role in part 6, the lead role in Friday the 13th, part 6, which is called Jason Lives. How did that all play out? How did you get it? And so on.
I got the call from my agent, and I just seeing a few pages, the scenes that they want you to read. Read for the Champion Basker, I believe were the casting agents at the time. I read for them, and then got a call back and went over to Paramount for my callback, and I read against I think two or three different guys for the role of Tommy Jarvis, and I ended up getting it. Tom McLaughlin was there, from what I understand, in the room. There's probably 10, 12 people in the room. Frank Mancuso Jr., the executive producer, Tom McLaughlin, and a few other people. It's kind of blurry, You're nervous when you go in, you read, and you do your thing, and you get out, and then you go hopefully to another audition in the same day if you're lucky, and then you hear about it whether you got it or not.
Were you excited to be joining the Friday the 13th franchise?
I was happy to have a job. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I totally get it.
I mean, look, I studied. I was doing. I was in high school. I was kind of floundering, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, and got out of high school not knowing what I wanted, just kind of meandering. And I had skills. I mean, I had talents that I didn't even know I had, like the construction and carpentry and stuff like that, because my grandfather worked in the studio, so we always had tools in the workshop and in the garage and stuff. And we would always, I mean, from a young age, we would be in there and stuff, my brothers and I. And I was just happy to get a job. I was dating this girl, and she suggested she wanted to become an actor. So then you study. And I became an actor, and it was like, and then you study, and then you start doing commercials and stuff like that. And then you get a lead, and then you get another lead in a feature film, and it's great. I mean, you're lucky and just happy to be a part of it. So yeah, I was just happy to have a job, and it was a great role. Knowing nothing about the franchise, I had seen part 1 before. Of course, everybody had.
Mm-hmm.
But after I got the role, I went and looked at 1 through 5 and again, and just happy to be going off to Georgia to shoot a movie.
Now they tried killing Jason off, and in part 4, with Tommy being the one that actually kills him, and continuing the franchise without Jason. That was not very successful with Friday the 13th part 5. So they ultimately decided that they have to bring Jason back. And we know Tommy, your character in part 6, is suffering PTSD from what happened to him as a child. You have to go to the cemetery. I guess you're looking for some kind of closure. The point I'm trying to get to here is, now this is Friday the 13th part 6. Part 5 did not do that well. It wasn't received by the audience that well. They knew they had to go back to Jason. Do you know what kind of a budget, going back to those days, was given to Friday the 13th part 6 to bring Jason back?
I don't know what the budget was, but I do know everything you just talked about is Tom McLaughlin's fault. Frank Mancuso, and Tom and I have had this conversation before, that Frank had gone to him and said, I don't know how you do it, but I need a script where we bring Jason back, and you have to resurrect him somehow. And so Tom thought about it, and he went back to Frank. He goes, throw in some humor. He goes, Frank said you can throw in some humor as long as you don't make fun of Jason.
Okay.
He's not the butt of a joke or something. So, and then Tom wrote this great script. I mean, you actually, you have characters. There's dialogue, there's feelings, there's exchanges of conversations and thoughts and stuff. It's not, you just don't see Jason hacking and slicing people up. Well, a couple of times.
I personally really enjoyed Friday the 13th Part 6. I really did. I mean, I'm being completely honest. I liked, probably in order parts 1, 2, 3. I liked part 4. And then I would put part 6 right there near the top of my list. I liked your character, Megan, who was, of course, Megan Jennifer Cook. I knew Jennifer Cook. She was a part of the V TV series. I don't know if you're aware, if you know that or not. But she she was sort of a big thing back then as well. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the writing was good. Do you like how they brought Jason back to life, where it was sort of like a Frankenstein? He got brought back to life
Yeah, exactly. That opening sequence for Jason is one of my favorite sequences in the movie. It just, I mean, all that before the credits even roll. It just really amazing. A lot of fun, a lot of action. The rain, the timing of it, the lighting of the match, trying to throw the gas on them, then it rains, and it just everything. And the lightning bolt hitting the spear, and the spear smoking, and his eyes open. It just was beautifully orchestrated.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy must have felt guilt because his way of getting closure brought Jason back to life, and I'm sure he was freaking out. Of course,
totally felt responsible, and to this day, I'm sure he still feels responsible. And I see him as a tortured soul, and never ever being able to rest because he's just waiting for the second shoe to drop for Jason to come back again. As a continuation of part 6, forgetting everything after part 6, of course.
Yeah, I think part 6 to me personally was the last really great Friday the 13th movie. What was your work relationship like with Jennifer Cook, who played the character of Megan?
It was great. We got along great. She was very light and easy going and professional, and just a lot of fun to be around. And she was great.
I mean,
loved to be there, and it was an amazing time.
Yeah,
fun to work with.
I'm sure you're aware of this, but back in the 80s, you were considered somewhat of a sex symbol. you were like the hot guy, okay? That everybody wanted to cast. Do you attribute you getting the role on Friday the 13th from the success of Return of the Living Dead?
I asked Tom McLaughlin that recently, and he said no. Had nothing to do with that.
Okay, because
I don't think Tom even knew about it. It was only, the timing was only a year, so it's not that
very
long.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. So he's writing the script and going through the motions of trying to make a motion feature film, and it's not that long of a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
One from the other.
Return of the Living Dead is just one of those movies that, as time went on, it just got more and more popular.
It's just so great. There's so many one-liners, and it's like you can just watch it from almost any point of it, and just have a good time. It just pick up. The split dog. It was just genius what he did. Just genius.
Yeah,
all the layers.
Every bit, every scene, it's classic. Tell us a little bit about. Go on.
No, I was going to say that scene where that yellow corpse is in the freezer and it starts getting animated. That whole scene is just so funny. We have to unlock the lock to let him out, so Frank can put the pickaxe in him. But he gets out, he busts open the door, he runs right past Frank because he's freaking out. Jumps on Clue, and then we get him down, and he starts still moving. We got to cut his head off.
It's
That's
the
just so wild.
it's the
It's so funny.
I call it the mother of all entertaining zombie movies. And it took decades for another one to come along that would sort of be in the same class. And I don't know if you've seen this movie, but next to Return of the Living Dead, I would say Shaun of the Dead. Uh,
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. A lot of fun.
that's also a lot of fun. But even Shaun of the Dead does not have like all the little bits like you just described throughout the entire movie that are just classic scenes like Return of the Living Dead has. Tell us a little bit about the Tommy Jarvis character in the Friday the 13th video games.
Switching gears to the video game, I think it's my understanding that they had already shot or produced a lot of it, and the fans wanted to see Tommy Jarvis come back, so they contacted me, and we went back and forth on an image because for me to sign off on. Because the first one that Gun Media sent me over was a guy with had dark hair and a 5 o'clock shadow, and I, obviously he hadn't seen the movie, so we went back and forth 6 times, and then I went and just did some voiceovers of the game, of my image on a screen for a couple hours, and that was it.
How do you feel about doing voiceover work as an actor as opposed to being on the screen? I mean, what's the real? I mean, do
You have
you?
to do it. Yeah, you generally do it anyway when you're making a movie
Mhm.
because sometimes the audio will go out. There'll be one or two scenes, or hopefully one or two scenes only, that you have to loop your scenes. So it wasn't a foreign thing to me. Had done it before, you know. Uh, it's just one of those things that you have to do because the sound is bad, or there's an airplane going over at a particular moment, or a train, or someone does something that you can't have on the recording for some reason. So we kind of do it anyway. So
Yeah, I would
to do it all
assume that
the
doing voiceover acting might be a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about makeup. You can show up to the recording studio in sweatpants and just,
oh yeah, for sure. You don't have to work out. You don't have to look good.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have a friend who's he's part of a I have a good friend. He's a part of a group here. They call the Loop Group. That's all they do. It's a band of actors. There might be 10 or 12 of them,
Uh-huh.
and they go around and they do all the atmosphere in restaurants and behind the scenes and whatever, off camera stuff. That's his job. That's what he does.
Yeah, for me, voiceover works. It just sounds like a lot of fun. Now, taking the characters of Freddy and Tommy Jarvis, well, in reality, the movies, Return of the Living Dead and Friday the 13th, out of those two, which one are you more proud of than the other?
I have to say I'm proud of them both, but um, Return of the Living Dead is more near and dear to my heart for those reasons I spoke of earlier.
Hmm.
I really got to appreciate the experience the more I worked later on. And I was just so grateful, and it was a big part in a movie, and I was just so happy and just so glad to be going to work every day, and it was just my dream had come true. So, and the cast was great, and Jimmy Karen and I became really good friends. We found out on part 2 that we had the same birthday,
Wow.
so going forward from we would have we would share our birthdays together, and he'd come over to the house for the holidays and stuff with his wife Albo, and we became very close. And I'd go to he doesn't live he didn't live too far from here, about 15-20 minutes from where I live, so we'd see each other a lot, probably 3 or 4 times a year. And then of course at the conventions when he was doing them, we'd see each other, which was always my reason for going, was to hang out with Jimmy Karen. So it was just great. Yeah, I'd have to say Return of the Living Dead was
more near and dear to your
probably.
heart. What was your
It is,
yeah?
honestly.
And that's what I sort of thought too. What was your reaction to hearing about Vincente DeSantis' fan film "Never Hike Alone," which is sort of like a Friday the 13th, kind of spin-off? Did he approach you for the role or anything like that, or no?
No, no. How it happened? I have a really good friend. He's a writer. I've been friends with him for 35, 40 years, and he had a roommate whose friend was a huge horror fan
Mm-hmm.
who kept bothering him once he found out he knew me. So, out of sheer desperation, my friend, the writer, called me and goes, "Will you please do me a favor? This guy won't shut up. He's a huge horror fan, huge Friday the 13th fan. Will you just have dinner with him? He won't stop talking about it." I said, "Okay, sure. I'll be happy to do it." So, we all got together and we had dinner. And it turns out uh, he suggested that he was executive producing a fan film
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to know if I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm thinking in my head, "Oh God, a fan film? Oh sure, yeah. Of course, I don't want to be a part of it." But I told him I would, and send me the script. He goes, "Well, actually, we've already shot half of it because they'd go up every week." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, send me that." So, not thinking anything would come out of it, but being who the guy was, it was Barry. Um, uh, he sent it over. He got it over, and I got to tell you, it looks really well done.
It
I
did.
mean, the quality was amazing. The direction was great. The first half of it, and I said, I read the script. I said, "Let's see where I might be able to do something." So then, at that point, I met with Vincent DeSante, who wrote it and directed it, and we came up with the idea of me coming back as the paramedic. The paramedic was already written in the script. I just had to take over the role. We had to
Mm-hmm.
adjust it a little bit. And Barry J., as I told you earlier, he was executive producer, and he also wrote and directed Killer Therapy that was recently released.
Okay.
That's how we made that connection.
Ah.
But I was happy to do it. And now we did Never Hike in the Snow. We brought Vinny Gustafaro back in, and when the we're going to go back and make a Never Hike Alone.
Do you feel like them being short stories were more impactful than having them be full featured length films?
No, I think Never Hike in the Snow was way too short. And if you would have added another, what, 20, well, an hour, another 20 minutes to Never Hike Alone, which you could have easily done, that would have been a full length feature. So, yeah, that's just, I think budgetarily wise and Vincent's scheduling stuff, and that's what we ended up with.
Okay. Now, do you think, the ending that these characters face in the Never Hike Alone series, will be accepted as their official endings, or will they never really have a true end?
Well, it depends on what perspective you're looking at from. If you're looking at from the perspective of a continuation of Jason Lives, then it might, depending on what happens, of course, and how they end. It might have a direct correlation to the Tommy Jarvis saga. Now, if they make a Friday the 13th part 13, and they do a continuation of Jason Lives, at that point, forgetting everything else, because they easily could do that. That would be phenomenal, and I think they should, with the success of Halloween that Halloween had. That would only make sense to me. So, a lot of people consider the Never Hike Alone part of the franchise now because it's just so good. Some some people like it better than some of the
The movies themselves.
regular.
No,
Yeah, exactly. So, we're onto something. And the fans are glad to see him. I mean, there's a lot of fan films that are dealing with Jason right now. So it's fun just to keep it going while the lawsuit's going on.
personally, if they do make more Friday the 13th Jason movies, I would like to see it in a form of let's reboot this franchise instead of continuing it, with him going to space. It kind of got a little bit
Yeah,
of,
it's just a mishmash of stuff. They never really had a through line, and there's no real continuation. You know,
yeah.
um,
That's why I like what John Carpenter did with the 2018 Halloween. What he did is, you know what? Let's start fresh. And he basically took the concept of let's take every movie after the first one and pretend it never happened. And the Halloween 2018 is the new sequel, and it's built on from there. Obviously, it was hugely successful. Two more films are coming out. One was supposed to come out in last year, was pushed back to this year, and that ended up being a very successful formula, at least for the Halloween series. And I think something very similar could be done with the Jason movies and the Friday the 13th movies. Now, if they do that and you get a call for either a cameo appearance or to come back and play another character, would you take that?
I wouldn't play another character. I'd play the same character. I would play Tommy Jarvis in some form. I wouldn't come back and play a different character. Just that doesn't make sense to me. It's like having, it's like writing a book and having a continuation of a book. It's not. You have the same title but different characters. It doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
you have one main character that's the same. It doesn't make sense to me. So I wouldn't do just any part. I've turned down other parts in other fan films to be a different character with a Jason around. So I couldn't do it.
How do you feel if you were to imagine the script? Jason, 35 plus years after the events of Friday the 13th, Part 6. How do you envision Tommy Jarvis's character being at this point in his life, 35 years later?
Yeah, I think he's just he can't he just knows Jason's going to come back, and even though he hasn't come back in 35 years, or however long it is, it just he's still in Wessex County around the camp, and I've always seen him in a backwoods in a cabin, and going into town once every 3 months to get food, still staying in shape and working out, and just getting ready for Jason when Jason comes back, because he's pretty sure it's going back, setting traps around.
Exactly. Like very similar to what Jamie Lee characters was in Halloween 2018. A recluse, cut herself off from the rest of the world, waiting, like Tommy's waiting for what he knows is inevitably going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think he could ever go back into to regular life.
No.
He could have tried and failed at a marriage and have a child or two. That could be part of his history. It's just not pretty when Jason gets involved.
Now,
Someone
go on.
had an image which I thought was great, because of global warming. 35 years later, the water is leveling down in the lake. So you'll do a drone shot and fly over the lake to see Jason's head just below the water net.
That's a great idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
That is a great idea.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. It's very topical. Isn't it great?
It is great.
And then I'm thinking, lightning strikes twice. Hits him on the head. Hello. That's
Now,
between you and me.
no, won't share it. Even though all this time has passed, do people, sometimes recognize you from either Return of the Living Dead, Friday the 13th? You've done a lot of other stuff too. Let's not forget to mention that. You have been in a lot of stuff throughout the
Well,
90s.
they used to when you could go out and to dinner and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
haven't been out to dinner in like a year.
I,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm like I don't know. People recognize me every now and again. It's I maybe it's my mannerisms or stuff because even when I'm working with construction guys and stuff like that, there'll be other guys with different crews that I'll bring like a subcontractor and stuff. And they're like they're kind of I know you. So we kind of get into that conversation, which is a lot of fun.
Uh, have you?
Happens a lot.
How do your how do your kids feel about? I'm assuming your kids have seen you acting. Maybe.
Yeah, I had my son, my middle son Miles and Catherine, my daughter, uh, go up and first time on the set shoot one day for Never Hike Alone. We were
Oh,
up locally up there in Lake Arrowhead.
oh,
And my son, he's never seen me actually film in person before. So it was a lot of fun. And he goes, Dad, that was amazing. You're really good. So that was fun for me to have them see that. And and then they saw the final cut and stuff like that. Oh, something funny just happened. My older son is going to Boulder. I mean, my middle son Miles is going to Boulder right now, and he's got suite mates and roommates and suite mates. So they want to get a house and blah blah blah. And then the mother found out who I was, and the son found out who Miles was. So they were really really impressed because of all the movies and stuff like that. So that was fun for him again. Uh, you know,
yeah. For me, I have three teenagers.
yeah.
And my daughter, who's in college, is actually my head editor. And you know, uh, it's weird how your children perceive you and what you're doing. When I first started this, and I'm approaching 50 interviews now, they were all like, "Wow, you're talking to that." And now I'm like, "Hey, guess what? I got Thom Mathews, who was in that Friday the 13th movie we saw a couple months ago." They're like, "Okay, that's cool, Dad." I'm like, "Okay, I guess that
Of course you
excitement,
do.
yeah, that excitement just wears off quickly." When when you were filming Friday the 13th Part 6, and you came up, I forget the actor's name who actually played Jason in Part 6. I know Kane Hodder, who was really famous for playing
CJ.
Jason.
We actually have two stunt guys. CJ Graham was the one who uh, gets up. That's the other guy, and that's who you're thinking of, CJ
Okay,
Graham.
okay. How imposing was it for you to come up to Jason Voorhees in full makeup and the whole gear, the whole 9 yards? Did it intimidate you?
Well, not being a horror geek like some people, um, he was just a big guy. So it was very easy to act off of that
Uh
because
huh.
acting is reacting. So um, what I was feeling was you know putting in that situation was pretty, I guess, typical or normal for me, I guess, because you're always trying to put yourself in that situation. And CJ's still big. I mean, I see him a lot in the convention circuits and stuff. He's a great guy, and uh, just fun loving, and is a mountain of a man.
Yeah. To me, I just try to envision myself if I was on the set, and no matter who it was, whether it's Kane Hodder that took over the role of Jason, I think in Part 7, or these big guys that come in with the hockey mask and the makeup. I'm like, damn, would that intimidate me or what? I don't know if I would be intimidated or just get a big laugh out of it. So I've always wondered, what would it be like to come up, and how do the actors feel like coming across, whether it's a Jason Voorhees or a Michael Myers, who terrify us as fans on the screen.
Right.
But what's it like seeing them in person while you're filming? Now,
Well, it's when when you have lightning and rain and it's the scene is set up to go a certain way with all the elements. The emotions just start to come. So I think you would have the appropriate response that was required for the scene. Otherwise, if it's just some guy walking around Hollywood Boulevard, then you could probably have the appropriate response would be the laugh or whatever, depending on the guy. I mean, if it was 7 foot tall and in a Jason mask, that would be pretty imposing. I don't think you'd be laughing at a guy who was 7 foot tall doing the Jason thing.
No.
Vincent DeSante is a pretty big guy too, so I think he's 6'4". He's pretty imposing as well.
So. Yeah. I've met Kane Hodder as well, and who took over Jason starting in part 7.
Yeah,
he's a big dude.
Sure,
he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Now we're almost out of time. One last question. You have a successful construction business. Moving forward in your life and career, do you still want to keep in some way, shape, or form connection or the door open to acting as well?
Yeah, I do actually. I stopped doing it for a while. I had 3 children that I had to raise and wanted to raise and want to be a part of their lives. So I wasn't really pursuing it that much, but now they're kind of grown and out, and I have more time, and I can get away for weeks at a time as long as I'm the boss, so I get to set up the schedule. And there's Skype and Zoom and all that stuff if there's any questions, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah,
that's what happened when I did the Western. So that was the guys kept working and the clients were happy.
So why not do both, right? Yeah, why not do both?
Yeah. Sure. I enjoy it. I like doing it. And my wife said I'm really good at it. So
the
good thing is I enjoy doing it.
You are good at it, and take it, I'm letting you know you are good at it. You're a great actor. You're a great... You're a big part.
When it stops being fun, then I'll probably not do it.
Okay. That makes sense.
But it's still fun. Yeah.
You are a huge piece of many different pieces to what makes Return of the Living Dead a cult classic. Your character, Freddy, you were fantastic. And as Tommy Jarvis, you were fantastic.
I just got lucky, right during the right place at the right time, and those characters spoke to me, and that's what you want in a script. In a role.
Absolutely, and you did
good writing.
Brilliant job.
Thank you,
Tom.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Any final thoughts?
All the best to the fans out there. The horror fans are the best fans in the world.
Absolutely.
I know guys have done bigger things than I have, but the horror fans are just the best. All the best, everybody. Stay safe.
Yeah,
be well.
We're dedicated and we're loyal, and remember, it doesn't matter how many years pass, we remember the characters that left an impression on us, and your characters have left an impression on us, no doubt. Thank you so much to all our viewers.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. I'll be back on the air tomorrow on behalf of Thom Mathews and myself. Everybody stay safe. And until next time, stay walking. Good night.
Be well, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.